Sunday of the MarsCon 2024 Comedy Music Track. And we are starting with the podcast. Should we just sing our little theme song, just the main jingle? Kyle and Luke will talk about tunes and alienate half of the audience. There we go.
This is a very special episode of Kyle and Luke Talk About Tunes. Luke has glasses now!
I know! I'm beginning my slow transformation into Kyle.
Slow, he says.
I'm going to alienate the rest of the audience.
That's what we're counting on.
Good.
Which half are you alienating?
You take that half of me. We'll take this half.
Hey, drugs, take it. Wait, drugs?
All right, so we are here at MarsCon 2024, and we have our music guest of honor this year, the legendary person from animation, Andy Merrill.
Hello, everybody.
So I'm now going to ask you every question that Ken Pringle asked you on his podcast.
Yeah, okay. You wrote them down.
And the Q&A thing means that we want questions from you guys too. So if anyone has a question, raise your hand and I will leap out into the audience in a very frolicking manner so that I can come out to you and get your questions.
So you can be heard.
Yes. Can you hear me? Can you all hear me okay? I seem a little bit quiet over here. Okay, good. All right. So, obviously you were like kind of the go-to person for animation stuff in the early days of like TBS doing things, right? Or am I completely Mandela effect?
Lazo was in control most of the time. So TBS-wise, that's kind of where Lazo got his start. Was he like rose up through the ranks of TBS? I think he scheduled the Tom and Jerry show, and that's kind of how he met Pete Smith, because Pete Smith did the promos for that for TBS, and so that's kind of how he put Pete and I together for Cartoon Planet after Space Ghost was done. And Lazo was promoted to like VP of programming for Cartoon Network at the very beginning. So he hired me, TBS came to him after Space Ghost was popular, and that's kind of how Cartoon Planet was born, because they went to Lazo and said, we want Space Ghost to host cartoon show. So then Mike put Pete and I together, and that's where Cartoon Planet came from. That started the popularity of BRAC, because we just BRAC came from the Christmas episode of Coast to Coast, and so we wanted to have more than just Space Ghost and Zorak, so we just brought BRAC in for Cartoon Planet.
Yeah, because there was the. Was there a name for the group of the other 5 villains? I'm trying to remember.
The Council of Doom?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was from the original show. And I don't know if we used, I think we used the original 60s Council of Doom, because it was Black Widow, Tanzit, Zorak, Moltar, and BRAC. I think they were the original.
Lokar was in there too. So.
Lokar was in there too, and I think they were the original 6 members of the Council of Doom. But there's a plethora of really good villains from Space Ghost in the 60s. There's a guy now, Dynamite Comics is doing a Space Ghost comic that's going to come out in May, and he's basing it on the 1960s cartoon. So I think, I'm not allowed to say that, so I'll ruin it. So, but yeah, I'm hoping it's really good. He's kind of writing it the way I would have written a Space Ghost comic, and that's kind of more of a serious take on it, the original 60s. And I would even say that I would write BRAC in the original Kilu type villain voice as a pirate instead of writing him as a. Maybe if I was part of that series, I would just do mostly action, and then maybe like 1 in every 5 comics that we would kind of break out and do something funny. But yeah.
So before you were there, you were at CNN, correct?
I was at CNN for a year.
How did you end up there?
I applied. No, I was fresh out of college. My professor had kind of connections to CNN, and so a lot of alumni from my college went and worked at CNN, maybe 4 or 5, I think, before me. And then I was the first one to break into the entertainment side because I had seen that Turner had bought the entire Hanna-Barbera library, and I knew he was going to do something with it. And then they announced Cartoon Network. I applied for something that I thought I could do, which was programming, and that's how I got in. So I got in maybe 2 months after the launch of the network. So and I was programming all of the shorts. So all the Bugs Bunny, Popeye, Tom and Jerry stuff. That was all me choosing what goes where. So.
I mean, so I guess the bigger question is like, what were you shooting for? Because like it's a far cry from working at CNN to actually writing and performing comedy stuff.
Well, right. CNN, I was on track to be an editor. Because that's mostly what I learned in college was video editing and musical. Santa brought me a ukulele when I was really young, so I kind of like self-taught. So,
I like Santa Claus.
So I've always, I've always played the ukulele, and I had piano lessons, organ lessons. I played the string bass in high school. I was in concert choir and the swing choir and all of that. So I've always been musical. I've always had a good ear.
So naturally, all this leads to editing.
Naturally, yeah. Well, I was going to be a pharmacist.
Oh,
and
that's even further.
I flunked out of that and got into Asbury. I went to a high northern to take pharmacy. And all I did was take science and math courses. I didn't take anything else except for a creative writing course. It's the only class I did well at. And so I got into Asbury based on my SATs and my brother's reputation at the school. So I went into psychology, and so that went. It was terrible. And so I thought, what do I do well? And my friend Wally and I always made videos in late high school and stuff, and he had access to all the editing equipment in the high school. We were in the first season of America's Funniest Home Videos.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we did a technique that we saw They Might Be Giants do on Don't Let's Start. And we took the song Deo and we slowed it down to half speed, lip synced it, and then put it back to regular speed. So we were moving like twice as fast. And so, yeah, that's kind of where the video broadcasting, editing kind of bug kind of took off. And so, yeah, that's what I ended up doing in college was TV and radio production, and went to Africa in '89 for a missionary organization. We filmed slums and Bible colleges to raise money, and so I edited a video to raise money for a school in Kenya, and got a National Religious Broadcasting Award, and so yeah, editing came from college. So yeah.
That actually begs a question I was going to ask that you may have accidentally just answered. I'm a massive They Might Be Giants fan. Were you the reason why No One Knows My Plan ended the tour were used on Cartoon Planet?
Yeah, well, not me, but that might have been Lazo too. But I remember that was my first trip to New York, and I was fucking terrified. Sorry, I was terrified because New York. It was just intimidating being in New York alone, and I didn't even spend the night. I was like, so I ended up flying to New York, flying to the studio, and working with They Might Be Giants' producer to like take out their singing and just make those songs like 30-second opens and closes. And so yeah, that was. I actually worked on that with them, and then came home very quickly. I was like, cool, Rain City Musical, let's get out of here. but yeah, that was cool to me. Just, it's interesting to hear the vocals on those songs singled out too.
Oh yeah.
Because it didn't sound great, but not that they're not great singers and all that stuff, but it's just kind of funny to hear it like singled out without the instrumental.
I don't want my vocals audited.
No, I don't either.
Luke, I've been hogging the questions here.
Well, I wanted to ask, at what point did you start listening to the Dr. Demento show?
My friend Wally, again, everything goes back to Wally. Wally kind of introduced me to this because we both, I had the K-Tel records and stuff growing up. And, K-Tel was a record company that would put out novelty songs, dumb ditties, and
Goofy greats,
dumb ditties. And so Wally was like, you gotta listen to this. And so like Saturday nights we would stay up and listen to Dr. Demento all the time. He would record them. Our favorite was CW Calls Mission Bogna. It was all about going and trying to catch toads in a swamp. It's a stupid song. But yeah, we were like, after a few after listening to it a few times, we just were kind of lifelong fans of Dr. Demento. And so I remember when I heard that he was airing the Brack stuff, I just was like, I was blown away by that. And then John Cafiero, who covered in punk, called and said, Dr. Demento, we want you to be on this album. One of the punk bands is doing I Love Beans, and would Brack introduce it? And I was like, would I? And so I was. I said, I performed Punk Rock Girl on the radio and stuff. And I said I could do a song. He said, it's funny because we're having punk bands do the novelty songs and novelty bands do the punk songs. So I kind of ran a few thoughts. I think I was going to do Sugar in My Hog. And my ex-wife was like, hey, nobody knows what that song is. And she was the one that suggested Institutionalize. And I was like, I can't play that song. But I said it anyway, and John was like, that's brilliant. So like I went to the studio in Santa Monica where some of like Phil Collins' Face Value was recorded, and I think the band Rat did their like album there, and I thought, this is cool. And so I had to record the song backwards, which means I did all the vocals first and then laid all the music behind it because it's impossible to play. So John sent me the back and forth audio of the stuff I recorded of Brack talking to Dr. Demento. And at some point, and after the song is done, Dr. Demento says, that was Brack, also known as Andy Merrill. And my ex-wife said, you should see your face when I heard Dr. Demento say my name for the first time. Like my life had been fulfilled. And then I do a record signing with him, so that was crazy. The whole time, like backstage, you're taking his hat off. I'm like taking all these angles of his like top hat, sending him the wall, going, "Hey, look at this!" And then after that, it's like, well, the signing was surreal because it's Artie Barnes and I and the girl from Missing Persons and other people. And so it was just John and Dr. Demento. I call him Barry. It was John and Dr. Demento and I just having dinner afterwards. And at some point, Dr. Demento was like, "Well, I gotta call my Uber." I'm like, "Where do you live?" He's like, "Oh, I live out in the way." And it was like 45 minutes away. I'm like, "That Uber is expensive." And so I was like, "I'll take you home." So I drove Dr. Demento home. And I got to his house, and he said, "Would you like to come in?" And I was like, "No, my wife and daughter is getting late." And he was like, "Oh, okay, well, thank you." And like went to his house, and I just sat there in my car, and I thought, Dr. Demento asked me into his house. And so I turned the car off, went to his door, and I said, "Can I see your record collection?" So yeah. He brought me to the shed in the back of his house, and it's just chock full of I've never seen so many LPs in my life. And there's this one area, there's a shelf, and it has like these reel-to-reel tapes on it, and it said like Lily Tomlin, Al Yankovic, Another One Rides the Bus, and I said, shouldn't these be in a safe or something? And he just looked at me and was like, "Well, you think I should do that?" I was like, "Yes." Okay. Weird Al demo just sitting there. So, if you know where he lives.
I know where he lives.
I was just thinking about like,
And then Dr. Demento took me to his shed in the back.
Yeah, that sounds gross. Another thing was, another surreal experience is that Weird Al came to Dayton, Ohio, and my friends and I had tickets. For a long time we had tickets, and for a long time I had a chance to write to Al and say, can we go backstage, but the whole time I thought, he's not gonna, he doesn't, I haven't talked to him in forever, he's not gonna. So I just put it off forever. Then the day of the concert I was like feeling like crap. And so this is what I did. I took the logical steps. I texted Dr. Demento. And I said, "Hey, do you have Al's email address?" And he was like, it was like not a second or two later. He's like, "Well, here." And I was like, "Thank you." And so I wrote to Al and found out that I already had his email address. And I said, "Hey, my friends and I are going to be at the concert tonight. I'd really like to see you." Not even 5 minutes later, it's like, "Hey, buddy, tell me how many people are coming." It was so weird. So we saw it. It was a good concert. It was like his not hits concert.
Yeah, the ill-advised vanity tour.
It was good. It was good. It was like stuff that's on the album that's not Eat It. It was all the stuff he'd never done before. So
It's like intentionally all of the non-parodies, and then he does the one big parody medley just to be like, "Okay, here's some of the parodies."
Right, yeah. And then he does that thing where they do that syncopated whatever the hell they do.
Oh, the Yoda chant.
That is like the most impressive thing.
they add something every tour.
Oh my gosh, it's like
It's like 5 minutes long now. It's its own.
it's insane. If you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about, but it's like crazy.
So where did the Bragg voice come from? Like I know that it seems like there was a difference between where it started and where it ended up. Like it was like yellier at first.
It was yellier at first, It was originally me. Sorry, I'm just full of gas. It was originally from the Christmas episode. It was just me going, "Hi, my name is Brad, and this is how Brad talked at the beginning. And I could only last 20 minutes in the studio when I did this voice." So, once Cartoon Planet came around, that stopped. It wasn't that I, lasted shortly in the studio. It just got not funny after a while. It was like, you can only be funny doing this after a while. This is not that great. So I kind of like warped it into this voice that Wally and I used to do in high school, and we'd be like, "You're bizarre. No, you're bizarre." And so that's where Brat came from. And it's funnier to make him a little bit more stupid and lovable. And then I could go to the mic and be a little more sweet. What was the line? You didn't like the one about the strawberries.
I had a question, and then you did that, and now
the art of being able to be like quiet and stuff like that was kind of a revelation after yelling, for so many months in the role.
Yeah. Speaking of yelling, Kyle, just the announcer voice on Magiswords.
Yeah, I always, the mighty Magiswords announcer voice, always had to do it last because I was just like destroyed. It's not even the pain, it was just like, I was tired, I was yelling.
Anybody have favorite memories of working with Clay and George on Space Ghost Coast to Coast and Cartoon Planet and other related projects like that involve Space Ghost, Brack, and Zorak?
The best working with them was always sharing the booth. Otherwise, like my stories of directing Clay and George are just boring. It's like, you gotta rein in George because he just flies everywhere. But sharing the booth, I think most people, there were two songs that we put on one of the CDs. One of them was Dieter Down, and the other one is I Love You. No, I Got You, Baby. And that was just, George was able to beatbox and like do like these crazy like melodies with like hand farts that were amazing. So at some point I jumped in the studio in the booth with him, and we did both of those songs in like one record. So that was a lot of fun. I brought back Cartoon Planet in 2012. We had no budget. The only thing that basically we budgeted for was to have one of the two. So I chose to have Brack with Zorak and not Space Ghost, because Zorak and Brack's were a better comedic pair. So there were a lot of times doing that version of Cartoon Planet where I joined Clay in the booth, and that was like the last time I worked with Clay. And it always has like a very special place in my heart, being like the last time I worked with him. So, but we were just like. I would do little bits like making stuff up on the TV, and it was like Brack and Zorak's hands like playing with like whatever was on the screen. Look, I'm a kitty. Look, I'm picking its eye boogers and stuff like that. And then we would animate whatever we were talking about. But yeah, that kind of stuff. We would just crack each other up.
I wanted to ask, because I wanted to find out if there's a particular origin story to the monkey song from the 2012 Monkey Love.
You're the most beautiful person I ever seen. What was it? I wish I could tell you how much you mean. Monkey!
No, that was just me making up stuff in the studio.
Okay.
The 2012 Cartoon Planet, we didn't have the luxury of having Eddie with us anymore because Eddie was gone. So a lot of the stuff for 2012, like the pizza song and stuff like that, that was all like needle drop music, or else it was me in the studio with my uke. So yeah, I don't know why we didn't. I guess it got to a point where Cartoon Planet was kind of like turned into Pizza Night with Pizza Steve, and it was an Uncle Grandpa thing that I did after Cartoon Planet, and so that kind of came in instead of Cartoon Planet. So that's why Alvin Harris didn't get animated. But at some point, my daughter was 6 at the time. It's on YouTube. I don't know where it is on YouTube, but I did a few segments of Brack. You hear this little laugh, and then you hear Brack laughing, and then you hear Zora go, "What are you doing?" And then you see Brack with this tiny little Brack. He's like, "I cloned us." And so I brought my daughter in to be Brack and Zorak, and at some point, a little surprise at the very end of the bit, I had Space Ghost head pop out of Brack's little cup that was on his desk, and he just went, "Alrighty!" So I just had my daughter do all 3 characters. So you hear my daughter going, "Alrighty!" But she did Brack really well. I had her do, I did the Hello Everybody song, and then I played it again, said, just make up whatever, and she's going, "I love the pickles, I love the pickles, I love the pickles." And so that was a cute little thing. I wish I would have had her do more VO after that, but I'm a jerk.
Okay. Okay.
You actually just touched on the question I was going to ask a little bit, but how many of the songs from Cartoon Planet were improvisational and how many were carefully crafted weirdness?
Many of the songs, what was the one? There's Musical Barbecue. There's Surf and Turf. Surf and Turf, I think, had the needle drop music on it. And because that one has the Hawaiian Holiday song. So that was the needle drop stuff. So most of Surf and Turf was just kind of made up in the studio. And that's kind of like my stuff. A lot of Musical Barbecue, just because we didn't have the rights to the needle drop music. So Musical Barbecue was all the stuff that Eddie Horst composed and Pete Smith wrote and Nora Smith. So that had like What Happened to the Water and
Hoodly Hoo.
Hoodly Hoo. All of that stuff. Yeah, that was all written stuff. So Pete would always write the songs. And all of Brack Presents the Brack Show starring Brack, that was Pete Smith and Eddie Horst. Like I Got You Under My Drawers, Magic Toenail, stuff like that. That was all written.
We have a friend who kind of pre-podcasting era did a pre-recorded streaming audio show on Dimension Radio called The Looney Bin, our friend Tony Goldmark. And what he liked to do was take the songs from Cartoon Planet, where it was the same music, but like sung with 2 different completely sets of lyrics for 2 different songs, and then he would put one in the left channel and one in the right channel and play them simultaneously. It was
so yeah, like Highway 40 was music was rock, and that was like one of those, I don't know what I'm gonna do, and so Pete just started playing music, and I just started yelling out the first thing that came to my head, so that was Highway 40. Bologna Sandwich, that was another needle drop thing. But for 2012, I think Pizza's song was the only thing that I actually wrote out. But that was still needle drop music. I took the needle drop because the thing about, I wanted to write it down because like halfway through the song, I mentioned how many times I said pizza and how many times I'm going to say pizza for the rest of the song. So when you listen to the pizza song, it's numerically accurate. And I remember a new writer had just moved into the cubicle office next to mine and just heard me doing it and like came around the corner and she was like, he. Because she couldn't believe that she was sharing a wall with Brad. But I have to say, she, Ren wrote some of the best like Bragg promos and stuff. She could write my voice really well. Because
I'm sorry, just to give a brief explanation for those who haven't seen the show. It's basically all of the Hanna-Barbera classic characters like Yogi Bear and Huckleberry Hound and yada yada yada. Kind of a new version, like they're all living in this one town called Jellystone. So it's just like a Hanna-Barbera free-for-all kind of silly cartoon drawn. Like, who did the character designs on that? Do you know off your head, Kyle?
I don't know, like...
The show's
run by Carl Greenblatt.
It's by Carl Greenblatt, did Chowder and Harvey Beaks for Nickelodeon. Chowder was for Cartoon Network. And so, yeah, Jellystone is the weirdest thing. And I don't mind it. To appeal to like the younger audience who've never seen these characters, they've kind of diversified some of the characters. So Augie Doggy is now a girl and stuff like that. Some people might think that's sacrilege, but the kids growing up now, they don't know those characters. So I'm fine with that. But if they're gonna have Bragg on, so they did an episode, season 3, episode 14, called SpaceCon, where Peter Potamus is mistaken for Space Ghost. And Bragg and Zorak and Moltar show up to mess up Space Ghost's panel, and so they got George and I. They got 2 different guys to do Zorak and Moltar, who did admirable jobs. Those were like some big shoes to fill because Clay was so good. But I think they did really well. I initially did a little recording for them, and my stupid mic wasn't good enough. So Warner Brothers actually sent me a mic and all this like professional like streaming equipment and stuff like that. And so I have this tiny little coat closet in my living room, and I just threw everything out of the coat closet, and I barely fit in there, and I'm like in there, just crammed in there. It's just so hot, and I had to cover the door in a blanket and stuff like that, and recorded Bragg. And there was a lot of, the script was very open, because they were like, hey, you know the character, you just go crazy, here's what we kind of want you to say. And so there's a lot of ad-libbing by me in it. I want to hear that recording, because I did some, what is it, the YouTube people that do everything running away?
ASMR, yeah.
I did some Bragg ASMR. Because there was like some kind of fabric above my head. I think it was a pillowcase, and it just kept going. It was like, feel it. Feel in the pillowcase. And then somebody started mowing their lawn, and we were like, God damn it. Feel the mowing of the lawn. Yeah, we stopped for like a half an hour, and it's like, but yeah, we had eventually got it recorded, and yeah, it turned out really nice.
There were some nice specific references in there, like, were those in the script, or were those you? Like, you got a reference to Clarence in there.
Yeah, that was me. There was a line where Bragg goes to the mic and says, everybody likes me better than you on Cartoon Planet. I got more fan mail than you on Cartoon Planet. Everybody loves me, and my mom knows it. Clarence knows it. And I tried to like reference like every single show that Brad's been on.
Yeah, that cracked me up so hardcore.
Let me say, I really, out of all the characters on the Bragg show, I liked doing it was Clarence, because I got to make fun of everything that I had done previously.
That voice sounds super fun.
La 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 la. And we always had to like pitch it up because
I can't get that high.
it was like,
Hey everybody, my name is Bragg and I like to walk around like an idiot. Oh boy. I love beans, la la la, I like beans.
and to just like sing the song and get them wrong. And then we did an episode where I think the first episode when I came back to work on the Bragg show, it was like, let's kill Zorak and try and hide it by eating him. And so there's like some fun stuff at the very end. They get this hankering to like kill everybody and eat them, and so Mom takes Clarence down in the basement, and he's like, la 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 la, what are you doing? Oh hey! And then you hear this gunshot, and all of a sudden, it's just silence.
La 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 la, ah!
Boom! Sick. It was sick.
So, was Clarence's first appearance in the episode Brack Street Men in the Band?
No, was that the one where Bragg is like, I got a little friend, he's a big fan of mine? And there was the one where Clarence was like a big fan.
Oh, okay, well, yeah, you're right. That's that one.
So a couple years ago, Kerwin Frost. Kerwin Frost, who did the adult Happy Meals with chicken McNuggets. And Kerwin Frost was a big Bragg show fan. Kerwin actually has a Bragg tattooed on his chest.
Whoa. Wow.
Kerwin brought me and all the Aqua Teen guys to California and rented out the Chinese Theater in Hollywood and did a big like film festival of like all his favorite things. So he did a film festival, Bragg did a film festival, Aqua Teen. Even had like John C. Reilly come in and showed Step Brothers. It was the first time my daughter went with me. It was the first time she'd seen the Bragg show. And I had given Kerwin, like my favorite episodes, and he ignored that. And picked each of the film festivals for Bragg and Aqua Teen were both like 10 episodes each. So I hadn't seen the Bragg show in a while, and my daughter had never seen it. And so 4 episodes in, I like turned to my daughter and I'm like, I'm so sorry. Because it's a lot to take in 10 episodes. And there's a Q&A afterwards. Somebody said, so what's it like seeing the Bragg show again? And I was like, it just reminded me that I forgot to wear my watch. The whole time I'm like, damn it. And then the director from the previous improv performance, the director of Aristocrats, Gilbert Gottfried, they were doing Gilbert Gottfried shit, and he said it made an Aristocrats joke, but the director of the Aristocrats was sitting in the audience. He's like, I had the Bragg puppet, and he's like, have Bragg do a version of the Aristocrats. And my daughter's like sitting there, I'm like, if you don't know, Aristocrats is as dirty as you want to make it. So I told a quick version of it. It was not as dirty as. But what was it? Oh, I was telling a story. I did say motherfucker in front of my daughter. It was the first time she heard me say it. But she's like 16, so she was like, ha 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 ha.
Anybody else have any questions? Okay, I'll go over here to Arthur, because he is the closest to me.
It was good going to the college. I went to Asbury College. It's now Asbury University. But they had a really good broadcasting program. It was like at the point where I got to CNN and I really didn't have to be trained to do anything because they taught me that in the broadcasting program of my college. Most other colleges, they just teach communications, and so they have to be trained to work cameras and use editing equipment and stuff. But back then, editing equipment was like a tape thing. So it's not like it is now, which is all Avid, After Effects and all that stuff. I don't know. I got into programming and I was comfortable. I was fine doing that. I think I eventually wanted to be like a programming executive, I think. And then Space Ghost kind of came out kind of like a fluke, and me with my editing experience, I could put the pilot together, and so that was how I got to start working on that. And so I had some good writing courses at college and decided that that's kind of the way I wanted to go too. But programming, I was still happy being a programmer.
Please do. So I guess how did they find out you were funny in order to like keep you in that situation? Because none of that's funny.
You can, by the past few answers I've given you, you've seen that I'm just the funniest person alive. I've always kind of had a quick wit, and it's not like I'm a comedian that's always on, but I've always taken the opportunity to make somebody laugh. I started when I was 9. My family kind of started a puppet ministry at our church, and I kind of learned. That's where I kind of learned, improvisation and stuff like that, because we would always have a little bit before the pre-recorded stuff, where I would have my puppet come out on stage and just interact with my mom, who's the MC, and it was just back and forth conversation. So I kind of learned a little from that. By the way, there was a place in San Diego called Puppet Productions, and they put together all of these biblical shows and tapes and stuff that we would use in the ministry. And they had like the top animation voices at the time doing these. Yeah, it was amazing. I think John Singleton did like a bunch of Flintstones and stuff, and Alan Young. Yeah, it was, and the writing was pretty solid and funny, and not like anything you had heard before as far as like ministry was concerned. So it was kind of like a breakthrough. So so doing puppets, you kind of learn a little improv. You learn a little how to do a lot of different voices and stuff. So yeah, it's kind of how I started, learning my chops and being funny. But, I was always kind of like a quick wit and the funny person. So yeah, I was in all the plays in high school and college and stuff. But I was excelled in like the comedic relief roles and stuff like that.
And so what is
right out of the gate, I'm like, "What are you doing?" And Dave Willis is always like, "Nope, tone it down." I'm like, "I have toned it down. I'm working up to being more." Oh wait, I haven't. Okay, we go back to this.
I saw there's a bit you did at Flappers Comedy Club in Burbank. Well, before it was a sole comedian.
Was ist der Name? No, it isn't. Your name is Burger Picker. And you pick your burger and you pinch it in between your fingers until it becomes a little ball.
somehow I ended up insulting him, yelling about how he raids the treasure chest at the dental office for plastic whistles. I don't know where that came from, but no, my dad was a dentist. I guess that came from that, and he had a little treasure chest full of plastic whistles, but still.
Okay, we have a question from the audience.
So, sorry. I know you do a lot of comedy.
Oh, it's you guys.
Yes.
I didn't recognize you about the, wow, you look different.
Yeah, not covered in.
Emery and Oglethorpe, everybody.
So I know you do a lot of comedy roles and everything, but you know, if you had to pick another genre, what would you go for?
I don't think I would. You know, it's
That's fair.
you know, comedy's a lot harder than drama. I've been in a horror movie.
Really?
Although I don't think you can see me. I was in Tales of Halloween, and I was in so there was it was an anthology movie. It had like 4 stories, and I was my friend Dana Gould was like, "Hey, they're making a movie. The director's a big fan. Come out." And so I went, and basically, you can't see me, but at some points there's a few close-ups of Dana where I'm standing just right behind him in earshot, out of camera range, just like feeding him lines. I think it was about neighbors arguing about their Halloween decorations, and I can't remember what the line was, but one of the neighbors had just this shirt with her boobs hanging out or something. And the line that I gave, he was supposed to insult the girl, so the line that I gave to Dana was, "It's after 12, the dairy's closed." The most sexist thing I ever said. But no, I don't know, I'm a big horror fan, but you know, that's not a whole voiceover thing. Comedy is just fun if you can get it right, and just making people laugh is just kind of a drug, you know. It's nice. Some people can't make people laugh, but try.
You'll be seeing them at 3 o'clock on the main stage.
You got it or you don't.
Let's talk real quick about your recent appearance on Jellystone.
Yeah!
Who voiced Brack's parents?
Okay. We wanted to have George on the show. George being Dad was really funny. Dad was actually supposed to be normal sized.
What happened?
No, one day we went and looked at like the character designs and stuff like that, and I guess they weren't ready for us and hadn't sized Dad up yet. And he was just sitting on the edge of the chair, and we were like, no, you gotta keep this. So that almost kind of killed the character of the schemer. We were gonna have the schemer. He was a Space Ghost villain who's about like this tall. And to have him at eye level with Brack and Zorak, he was just gonna have a hover device in his school backpack. And he was supposed to be like the Clarence of the show. So he kind of got killed, came later as Clarence. But Mom,
Yeah, she was.
I can't remember.
Two different moms.
Two different moms. I can't remember their names because I'm old. But the first mom, I loved the first mom because she just sounded perfect.
It's basically Donna Reed kind of, yeah.
Yeah, a perfect sitcom mom voice. And I wish they would have found a more sound-alike mom, second mom, but they just went with this jarring English woman. I loved first mom, but she was kind of and could not function at times. So I don't know if that was a secret or not, but yeah, she was kind of a drinking McDrunkerton. And yeah, I loved her though. She was like a really good mom. I loved my first mom. The second mom was fine. It's just I wish they would have found a more sitcom. It was not in my control. It was like Pete and Jim Fortier found the other mom. I'm like, okay, so yeah. That's how that happened.
I just find it, I mean, I can't figure out how to form this into a question, but Bragg Presents the Bragg Show starring Bragg. When that came on, I wasn't aware that it was meant to be like a special event kind of a thing. I somehow, through the advertising, thought that it was just like a new series.
It was.
And then, yeah, and there were 2 episodes, and then I kept waiting for more, and then there weren't, and I was upset.
It was supposed to be a new series, but it got expensive because we had a straight up contract for the celebrities to come in, and if another celebrity would come in and say, you know, I want 25,000 instead of 20,000, then we would have to pay all the other guests that extra bit of money. So anybody that we wanted to get that was more expensive, we would have to retroactively pay everybody else that same amount. So it got like way too expensive. So we shot what we shot and made it. It was originally going to be an hour-long variety special, and then we split it in half. So yeah, I remember there were some really fun like recordings in there. Recording with the Chieftains was amazing. I actually recorded with them in the studio. I recorded with Jody Messina in the same booth. And I wish we could have like put the original song on the album, and I wish we could have put the outtake on the album where we were singing it for the first time, because I just, you know, made her laugh throughout the whole first take and ruined the first take. Because the music starts dee 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 dee, and she. And before she could sing her first line, I just was like, Robert Ducky, you're the one. And then she just like lost that duet was originally supposed to be Bragg and Randy Newman.
Oh, man.
But Randy Newman was contracted to Disney for the Pixar stuff, so he couldn't do it with us. But that would have been, that would have blown my mind to like record with Randy Newman.
So when did it first become? Oh, go ahead.
You got a friend in me. You got a friend in me.
My first stand-up, I had a Randy Newman joke. He was like, Randy Newman confuses me because, you know, he'll come out on, he'll just come out on stage, like when he won the Oscar, he's like, I want to thank the Academy, and it's all great. But from the way he sings, you just expect him to say, and the winner is Randy Newman. Yay! I'm the winner! And I was like, what if Randy Newman wrote a song for Jaws? And I was like, got him. Got him. Uh-oh, there's a shark. And then I wrote a song about a buddy comedy. He's like, what if he wrote for a buddy cop comedy? He was like, I don't know what it is about donuts. Round with a great big hole. My Randy Newman impression. Short people. Don't know what it is about donuts.
We mentioned Jellystone. I also want to mention on Disney Plus, there is an animated series called KIF, and you appear on that.
They just started streaming KIF on Wednesday.
Oh, really? Cool.
Not the whole show. They've been streaming the whole show, but they finally uploaded the episodes Wednesday. So, episode 29 of season 1. I am KIF's fun Uncle Pat. It's basically my voice, only he sounds really depressed all the time.
It's like, I watched the episode, I'm like, oh cool, the fun Uncle Pat.
Yay!
And I've never watched the show KIF before, but it's like, okay, whatever, it's cool, let's see what's happening. And the show starts, and it's like, here's fun Uncle Pat, and I'm like, oh God, this is quite sad. This is a tale of clinical depression.
KIF comes in the room, Uncle Pat! He's like, this is a nice room you have here, kid. I wanted to go somewhere in life. I got the script. I'm divorced. It's been over 3 years, and I get the script from Ken Osborne, who did Adventure Time and stuff. And I wrote to him, I'm like, have you been spying on my personal life? So a lot of like that scene where he's like, everybody's left me type of thing. That's like real emotion on the mic. And I was like, jeez. But yeah, watch it. It's an uplifting episode.